Hello, Italy has won the Euro 2020 Football Championship, beating England in a nail-biting penalty shootout. This was the scene in Rome when the Italian goalkeeper saved England's final attempt. Italy has now secured their first European Championship trophy in 53 years. The game at Wembley Stadium saw 65,000 spectators in the stands for the first time since the pandemic began. Let's go live to Paul Brennan, who's outside London's Wembley Stadium. So, terrible disappointment, I should imagine, there.
Well, scarcely has so much expectation been heaped on the shoulders of such a young team, to be honest, many of them in their early 20s. But the reality was that many people believed this was England's best chance of scooping a major football tournament for many, many years. They had several advantages. They had home advantage, for example. All three of their group games were here at Wembley. The quarter-final, they went to Rome and played Ukraine, but then they were back here at Wembley for the semi-final, and now this final. They had what many people believed was the easier side of the draw to get here for the final, and yet again, England fall at the final hurdle, and the most cruelest of ways, through penalties. It seems that England just have this hoodoo when it comes to penalty shootouts after extra time. I'm going to step just out of the way for a second. You can see the fans thronging out. It's been a party here outside the stadium for hours and hours and hours, since way before 2 o'clock this afternoon. Many ticketless fans, I'll step back in, many ticketless fans simply came down to the stadium to soak up the atmosphere, to drink alcohol, to eat food, to chant and sing. Those 65,000 fans lucky enough to get tickets and go in were there nail-biting through the whole game. There was the hope at the start when England scored. Luke Shaw just after 2 minutes, but then they seemed to lose their way, particularly in the second half. Italy really bossing that second half. England kind of composing themselves for the final minutes of the 90. Then into extra time, no breakthrough, and penalties. And yet again, England fall short.
Paul Brennan, thank you very much. We can cross now to Adam Rainey, who's live for us in central Rome. And if you can hear me, it must be a completely different atmosphere there after that win.
Definitely, Lauren, unbridled joy, a total release during those penalties. It was such stress here. Uproarious joy, uproarious screams of passion and fear that they were going to lose it all within 30 seconds. Every passion imaginable in a football match. We'd seen this match go back and forth from the beginning when England went up 1-0, just 2 minutes in, and then there was a long lull here of just quiet as people watched, waiting for Italy to equalize. They finally did, and from then they saw that Italy was on the attack, and then when it went extra time and went to penalties, there was just an intense amount of passion and joy and stress palpable here in the shadow of the Roman Colosseum. Walking around throughout the game, you saw people watching in restaurants, bars, everyone rapturous watching this team, a team that has captivated the nation in this wake of the worst days of the pandemic in Italy, the country that had suffered COVID-19 worse than any other Western country earliest, still one of the highest death rates in all of Europe. So there was a lot more happening here than just football, Lauren. There was the whole country's hopes, passions, and feeling of freedom of being able to celebrate together something after so many long months of being cloistered with just families in their homes and perhaps just going back and forth to work and school. So a lot of joy here on display, people very happy, and it was such a tense final few moments to witness it here, and it happened as we were live with Andy and you earlier in the last bulletin. And that's what it feels like here, Lauren.
And tell us about the journey that this team have had. I mean, they've had an extraordinary run, haven't they, with it's now 34 34 matches unbeaten. It is quite extraordinary, isn't it?
It's a huge achievement, considering this happened also in the wake of such a devastating 2018 World Cup, in which Italy didn't even qualify for the finals. So we saw this country battered by the pandemic, battered by recent football history, and this team just captivated people. And under the directorship, under the leadership of Coach Roberto Mancini, Italy really rallied around him as this larger-than-life personality that shaped this team and made it able to come back like this in such a short time, to come and and claim victory in this very important tournament. A tournament that played on the home field of England. Their opponent seemed like history might be playing for them, but Italy pushed. They took back the momentum in the second period and then got a lucky break perhaps in the penalties and took it home.
Thanks very much indeed, Adam Rainey there, live in Rome for us.